account yo search engine tekamu the Alternative Uganda ogenda kubanga ate otufuna bulungi nnyo like the page and then follow us bwomala onyige ku kwako kasimbo akalinga akademu nange kakulaga notifications kajja kubanga kakuletera kakujjukiza nga kakuletera every when we go live every day nga kakuletera notification elimu notification zizo nga kakulaga nti the Alternative is live nganawo munafe obera otufuna bulungi nnyo buterefu gwatana twe yungako njagala okujjukiza we have a presidential candidate in the studios munange wali badde toyagala kumumisinga wandibadde nga ate munange obeerako n'owuliriza ebirowoozo bye she is a female candidate kyekyenjawulo ekiriwo nti gwe tulina mukyala ng'ate yeegwanyiza ekifo ekisingayo obukulu mu ggwanga ekyobwa president bwa Uganda ali mu kuvuganya n'abasajja 10 wolabira nti race eri competitive mukazi omu ali mu kuvuganya n'abasajja 10 2016 twalina omukyala omu ng'avuganya n'abasajja omukyala Karia Morin wherever you are we say good morning munange mwebale ku inspiring abakazi ne mbawa hope nti anything is possible a woman can do anything omusajja kyakola fe tubagamba bugambe ba mukano mwongeremu you do not know what you are doing for the girl child kubanga ate buliwe mukikola ne omwala ali eyo ali mu P7 omwana asoma asolugamba okay nange we nakula we namala okusoma we negate the qualifications nja kwesimbawo ku ekifo olaba Nancy Kalembe Linda akikoze meaning I can also do it banange mukola omulimu gw'amaanyi ene mabega kawo twalaba honorable Betty Kamya ngana yesimbyewo kuba president lwakuba nti tetunafuna mukisa kufuna ko president omukyala mu Uganda naye katusabe inshallah olulimi lw'abasiraamu mukama atuyamba tukwatireko tubeere nga tufunako president omukyala tutestingeko presidency y'omukyala mu Uganda yo ebeera etya teno munange njagala okwejjukiza gwe munaffe atanava waka gwo embeera y'obudde si nnungi gwe alina allergy wali wadde weesabika nga obunyogofu bukolera ddala bubi sweta togirekaayo obeere nti obugumanga oleme kusumbuwa abantu mu offices ng'okuba emyasi gwe batonava waka mukwano sweta togirekaayo ekigirikooti kyambale kisitule okitwale lwansonga nti obudde bubi enkuba etonnya wabweru it is raining so munanga ina umbrella do not forget your umbrella ewaka enkuba eri mu kutonnya nyayenja ate njagala okukubiriza nti bw'oba ogenda kukola wali badde ate oyanguwako obudde bwo bugenze saawa emu yawezedda akeera aba yakeddedda nga atandise okugulawo omukisa gwa bizinesi bamikwano gujja kumakya weewale okugula bizinesi yo ng'obudde bwatambudde dda omukisa guba gwakuyiseeko dda so njagala okukubiriza nti omukisa gwa bizinesi yonna kyonna kyokola office wati gubeerawo okumakya ba clients b'okumakya be bakuleetera omukisa bebeera ne ssente so banange mwekubirize nnyo okkeera ku mirimu gyammwe naye ate bannayuganda njagala obijjukiza ba mikwano korona gyali munaabe engalo mwambale mask it is a good gesture yambala mask toyina kyovaako ng'oyambadde mask toyina kyovaako ng'onaabye engalo oyingira kendi bakugambye naabe engalo lwaki okola akavuyo just wash your hands oyingire okole kyokola korona saawa eno nti mwefusuuliddeyo gw'anaagamba ate ali mu kutambula nnyo ate ali mu kutta so bannange tufe tubakubiriza ate ne tubajjukiza nti korona ye gyali ate munaabe engalo mwekuume naye ng'essaawa eno tuli ku maka g'omugenyi waffe olunaku lwaleero omukyala Nancy Linda Kalembe gwe tugenda okuba nga twogerezganyamuko naye kuva ssaawa emu mpaka ssaawa 3 ng'ababuulira manifesto ye ababuulira what inspired her to stand for the position of a president so bannange abawala zemba kubiriza mubeereko mumanye mupikingire kono inspiration mupikinge hope from her mumanye nti anything can be possible no matter the obstacles zobo sanze mbulamu for as long as olemerako persistence eyo yokuba nti olemerako oba oyagala ekintu obeereko osobole okiremereko osobole nti okubanga ate okiggusa bannange today is the second day the third day nga presidential campaign zitandise abali mu campaign zife tubagamba bugambe nti we wish you the best of your luck naye ate bwemba mugenze mu campaign zezo twagala okubakubiriza mwambale mask mukubirize abantu bemuyise okubasaba obululu keeping a social distance temwandyagadde kufuga ggwanga ng'eggwanga ddwadde so bannange musaba obululu obwo abantu mubakubirize banaabe engalo bambale mask bakipinge social distance kubanga temwandyagadde kuba nti mukyusiza obukulembeze oba oli awo oyingidde ku ntebe naye ngate oli mu ntebe naye ngate abantu balwadde bonna ensonga lwaki gwe kennyini eyali asaba obululu tewasobola kufuna budde n'omugamba abantu mwekuume bannange mukipinge social distance we understand munoonya bululu naye ate ekirwadde mwe kiri mu ggwanga so bamikwano abasaba obululu oba abagenda mu byalo okunoonya obululu mubakubirize bannakyalo abo bemugenzeemu okunoonya nammwe abali mu Kampala abantu bemugendamu okusabamu obululu mubakubirize beewale corona gyali bakipinge social distance banaabe engalo them sanitize bobo sobola ogula ka sanitizer ko tambula nako mu nsawo when you shake hands bomala yisamu ka sanitizer mu ngalo tomanyi gwokutte mu ngalo wajayitidde tomanyi wa kutte tomanyi ate bani bameka beyanka kwata mu ngalo so eyebera nti wekumye kuma n'abalala bogenda okwata mu ngalo abali mu campaigns mwambale mask abantu bagenda kwa balaba oyo omuntu gwosaba akalulu aba akukkiririzaamu nnyo naye saawa eno wenjogerera omugenyi waffe antuuseeko nagendeko mukabula katono nnyo then nkomewo ne omugenyi wange olunaku lwaleero okyali ku Night Drive tovaawo tukomawo.
You have got to get up pretty early to go do something. We are the Alternative Digitalk. With our mobile studios, we are redefining TV presentation just as technology is setting the pace. We are blending our approach with fresh, perspectively designed breakfast show, The Mighty Drive, informative and entertainment show, exclusive and live interviews.
We President Museveni wadde juzi namulaba apima akawunga kilo 2 tasobola kalya nini bwaba alya kilo 5 oyannema okuliisa eggwanga ne bwe limundekera.
Njagala kwebaza the Alternative Digitalk etuwadde kano ka Mighty Drive era n'abatuwuliriza bonna abali ku mikutu njagala basaba mugendo maaso n'okuwuliriza.
All given to you just a click away on your phone, tablet, laptop and smart TVs as we are streaming live on our social media platforms, on the road and on the go. We are the Alternative Digitalk.
Yellow Beat.
It's a Fuji remix. Double sin. Twice upon a time, I got my phone. I put him busy, and then I said, I have time with it. So I called my friend. First come. Did you know? Did you?
Yes, it's MTN 00, the 4G remix. Dial *150*10# or visit my MTN app to load daily bundles and double your MPs on your 4G line. Everywhere you go, MTN.
What? That means more fire! What is up? What's it down?
Everywhere you go, MTN.
get up pretty early to go do something. We are the Alternative Digitalk. With our mobile studios, we are redefining TV presentation just as technology is setting the pace. We are blending our approach with fresh, perspectively designed breakfast show, The Mighty Drive, informative and entertainment show, exclusive and live interviews.
We President Museveni wadde juzi namulaba apima akawunga kilo 2 tasobola kalya nini bwaba alya kilo 5 oyannema okuliisa eggwanga ne bwe limundekera.
Njagala kwebaza the Alternative Digitalk etuwadde kano ka Mighty Drive era n'abatuwuliriza bonna abali ku mikutu njagala basaba mugendo maaso n'okuwuliriza.
All given to you just a click away on your phone, tablet, laptop and smart TVs as we are streaming live on our social media platforms, on the road and on the go. We are the Alternative Digitalk. You have got to get up pretty early to go do something. We are the Alternative Digitalk. With our mobile studios, we are redefining TV presentation just as technology is setting the pace. We are blending our approach with fresh, perspectively designed breakfast show, The Mighty Drive, informative and entertainment show, exclusive and live interviews.
We President Museveni wadde juzi namulaba apima akawunga kilo 2 tasobola kalya nini bwaba alya kilo 5 oyannema okuliisa eggwanga ne bwe limundekera.
Njagala kwebaza the Alternative Digitalk etuwadde kano ka Mighty Drive era n'abatuwuliriza bonna abali ku mikutu njagala basaba mugendo maaso n'okuwuliriza.
All given to you just a click away on your phone, tablet, laptop and smart TVs as we are streaming live on our social media platforms, on the road and on the go. We are the Alternative Digitalk.
Omulimu gwo gwatendo gwe yatulaba ku the Alternative Digitalk ng'otukeereddeko tugamba bugambi munnange okola omulimu gw'amaanyi nnyo nnyini ddala. Farida Bikobere is my name once again and I can authoritatively say nti omugenyi waffe ow'olunaku lwaleero mwali mu studios atutuseeko omukyala Nancy Kalembe Linda, presidential candidate. Tugenda kubanga twogerako what she has in her basket for the country Uganda and what her manifesto is. And me as a girl child, I would really want to hear what she has for the girl child. So bannange tubasaba kusabi mubeereko, temuvaako gwe atana tulikinga genda ku Facebook yo account search engine tekamu the alternative Uganda. Ogenda kubanga otufuna bulungi nnyo, like the page and then follow us. Ogenda kubanga ofuna discussion gye tugenda okubeera nayo olwaleero. Ogenda kubanga otufuna bulungi live okuva waneeno mu studios zaffe ez'olwaleero nga twogeramu n'omugenyi waffe biki byateesetesete olwakagerike kali nti she is a presidential candidate. Sijja batwala nnyo. I have my co-host omwami tumuhimise nomani njagala muwa omukisa yeyanjulidde eno omugenyi waffe w'olunaku lwaleero atweyanjulire mu butongole.
Good morning all viewers in Uganda and abroad and the entire world. My name is Norman Tumuhimbise. Yesterday there was a successful coup amongst our staff, and it was ladies' day yesterday. There were 3 of them in the studio. Today we had also plan our other successful coup and also take up the seat. My name is Norman Tumuhimbise. I happen to come in to bring to you the presidential candidate, Madam Nancy Kalembe Linda. We are with her. She's about to tell us what's her plans for presidency, what makes her special from the rest of the candidates. She's the only female presidential candidate. It's on record. She becomes the 3rd historical female to come up for the big office. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
On behalf of all of us, we should be fine. Save for the rain, but we are well.
Good.
Thanks for sparing time.
The rain is a blessing.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, it is.
Thanks for your time. It's becoming hard to get candidates basically because of your busy schedule. I should, on behalf of all of us, appreciate your time and your willingness to really allow us come and interview you. Thank you once again.
Thank you.
We are on the Alternative Digitalk, and our viewers out there, we are on the Alternative Uganda Facebook page, and we are streaming live. We have her in the house. Don't go away. In a second.
Muchala Nancy Linda Kalembe is betulina mu studios olunaku lwaleero. Sagala mbatwale nnyo nga taneyanjula, njagala omuwe akakisa atweyanjulire mu butongole ababuuzeeko, then tutandike sessions zaffe olunaku lwaleero wetugenda otandikira mpaka ku ssaawa 3 wetugenda okukomera nga discussion mujja kuba mugijjeemu kye mugijjamu nanga aweteeyo ogenda kubomba otegedde gwolonda si gwolonda ffe tukugamba bugambi ideas ziba rich, so kwata pen n'olupapula n'ogejinga tugenda babaleetera bonna at the end of it all 14th oba omanya ani gwotwala ani ayina ebirowoozo ebizimba Uganda okusinziira ku bizibu ebiri mu Uganda saawa eno. Mchala Nancy Linda Kalembe, I am very happy to have you in these studios. May you please say a good morning to our viewers.
Good morning, viewers. I'm happy to be here. It's very interesting that I'm in a studio like this, a moving studio. When we are talking about what we stand for, we say we stand for a leadership that is future focused, harnessing new knowledge and new technologies. The confinement that we've been facing, that you have to be in a certain studio in a particular time, you have to do things in a certain way. It is amazing that the youth today are doing things like this, moving studio. It's been thought about. Some TV stations have tried to do it, but now I can see that there's an evolution that is great, and I am very happy to be here. I'm honored. To the viewers out there, this is interesting for me. It is actually a first. I've not been in a moving studio before, so this is interesting. And the fact that we are going to talk about the girl child, I'm excited, seeing that there's only one girl child who is running for presidency, and that is me, among all the boy children. And so I'm very happy to be here. It's indeed an honor, and thank you for having me.
Njagala ntandikirewo obudde bwo bututwala Kairi Gombe ng'omuganda bw'akyogera. Given the fact that we have had a bad history of female candidates losing when they stand for a presidential post. Where did you get the confidence and the courage to come and stand as a presidential candidate 2021?
First and foremost, it's not only female candidates that have been losing. For the past many elections, as you already know, there's only one person who has been winning. So whether men or women, no one has been successful in any election. So it's not like women are different, that we've been losing. Also the men have been losing. But that aside, Uganda has never had a female president. Actually, East Africa has never had a female president. Mostly because our society has the mindset that women cannot do certain things. Even in the home, you'll find that it starts very early on. When the children are going out to play, they say, no, you stay and do the housework. It's like there's a slight segregation among children, like in Animal Farm. There's a book we read many years ago. There was a statement that some animals are more equal than others. And I watched the cartoon version as well, besides reading the book, and it was very interesting. At the time, I didn't understand a lot of concepts that were in this book, because you were seeing animals treating animals differently. And this is what happens in our society every day. You find that you're treated differently. I am the only female presidential candidate for 2021, 2026, and I want to thank God so much, because it's very easy now to differentiate on the ballot paper. I always tell people mu Luganda, omubwati omukyala omubwati bw'otu mu bantu 11 omukyala omubwati bw'otuuka wali nga 14 mu January nga tulonda 2021 noonya omukyala omubwoti totawaana noonya mukyala onoonya awali akapiira kubanga ye simbo yange oteekeko tiiki tweyongereyo mu maaso. So
that's a good one.
Naye erinnya okuliddamu era nate nze Kalembe Nancy eyesimbyewo mu bakyala. Ekiseera ndowooza kyali tekinnaba kutuuka kukyusa bukulembeze, naye kati mu 2021 era bw'olaba Mzungu agamba nti the winds of change are blowing stronger and stronger. Olaba abantu ebintu bye baatyanga okukola edda oba okwogerako edda kati babyogerera ddala nti we need to change government, we want something different. Ate abantu kati bazuukuse wali baali beetya, naye kati Abannayuganda bagamba ettaka lyaffe, twagala kubeera mu ttaka lyaffe mu nsi yaffe nga tweyagala nga naffe tulinga bennyiniwo wano. So si kusosolebwa kubanga toli ki oba toli ki, naye kubanga oli Munnayuganda babeera nga buli kimu kikutuukako.
Okay, that's a good one from the presidential candidate Nancy Kalembe. We're going to go, they call it bare knuckle. Hard questions, hard answers, workable answers. If one may ask, we have seen lots of so many policies that aren't working in our view as young people and also as citizens. For instance, we have issues with education itself. It's on record. When it comes to young girls vis-a-vis boys, the dropouts of girls is up. You are a female presidential candidate. How would you think this would be done best as President of the Republic of Uganda?
First and foremost, when it comes to girl children and education, the policies still lack a lot. There is a lot to be desired. While we were growing up, for example, it's still, now because the schools are many, it has kind of reduced. But when we were growing up, if a girl got pregnant in school, she was expelled from school. And the boy stayed in school. Yeah. And you wondered who made the girl pregnant. But the boy stayed in school. So it was already, it's discriminatory. what are you doing? Are you punishing the girl for getting pregnant? Are you punishing the girl for having sex outside wedlock? If that is so, because pregnancy is a blessing, but you're punishing the act of sex out of wedlock, it's understandable. Is it only the girl who has sinned, or both? Now it has kind of improved because the schools are many. If a girl gets pregnant and she gives birth, she can change school and even go to a different.
Maybe it's because the girl child moves with evidence that hey, this is what happened, and indeed maybe for some.
But at the end of the day, it is very, because you cannot stop a boy from going to school. It would be very unfair. The girl child should be given an opportunity to go back to school. For us, that opportunity was not there while I was growing up. If you got pregnant, that was it. School was over, no school would take you. But now there are so many schools. So yes, you'll be expelled from one school, but another school in a different district that doesn't know your story will take up. Why does the girl still have to go through such stigma? It's like you did it alone. So I think in that area, a few things need to be adjusted. You talked about school dropout.
Yeah.
There are lots of reasons why girls drop out of school. When we're growing up, when girls are entering puberty, it is a very difficult time for us to adjust. For us who are lucky enough to be in single-sex schools, it's easy because all of you are going through the same thing and no one teases the other. But in co-ed education schools with boys and girls, it becomes very difficult because the boys are making fun of you. If your breasts grow so big, they make fun of you. If your breasts don't grow, they make fun of you. If you're changing, if your hips are growing bigger, they make fun of you. If your hips are not growing, they make fun of you. It's like for the girl child, you have no way out. Whether you do or you don't grow the normal way, you'll still be made fun of. When we were studying reproduction, P6, P7, a few girls had started changing. So you're studying reproduction and the teacher right in front of the class says, for example, so and so, Jane, all of you look at Jane. You know how embarrassing that is when a teacher is giving examples of you. So it's not only pregnancy that makes the girl child drop out of school. It's everyday things. You are attacked by the boys. I mean, for the boys, you kind of understand because they're children. They will make fun. It's their age group, I understand. But for a teacher to stand in front of the class and give examples, make fun of you in a very delicate time, because why I say it is a very delicate time, it is between childhood and adulthood. You're discovering yourself. You don't know what is happening to you. Some of the things you can't even share with your mother because you think that you're the first one to go through that. No one has really, I don't know, these days we are getting better at it as parents. We are talking to our children and you tell them, if you see this, if you feel like this, we're talking about how we're feeling. But our parents didn't have that. We sat down and we discovered something new. If you hadn't yet studied it in class, you found it. And then you didn't know who to talk to because you thought you were abnormal. And then it killed your self-esteem. You felt like, so these things contribute to school dropouts. You find that, for example, there are a lot of girls who still do not have access to sanitary pads. How will she go to school? If we call it mapping. If she gets an accident, how will she face those boys again? Because they're going to make fun of her, they're going to call her names, they're going to do all kinds of things. And unfortunately, the adults that we are with in school, instead of understanding and sympathizing with the girl and saying, look here, come and I help you, some of them will go ahead and make fun. As an adult, you would think, by the time this girl is having such accidents, perhaps she doesn't have sanitary wear. Why doesn't a girl have sanitary wear? Maybe the family she's coming from cannot afford certain things. So the adults around this girl ought to be supportive, not making fun. You see what I mean? Yes. So there is.
So does that mean that you because as per your discussion, it's as if to say one of the things that you are likely to do is to do more of civic education. First of all, change the mindsets of people on how to appreciate the girl child as a gender.
I have talked about mindsets for a long time, whether it comes to the economy, whether it comes to our society in general, our mindset builds and breaks a lot of things. There's still a lot lacking when it comes to educating the girl child and educating the people around. A few years ago, there was a fight against female genital mutilation, and it was fascinating that it is the women, the older women, who had gone through this painful experience that were pushing the young girls to go ahead and also go through this painful experience, in spite of the pain that they faced, in spite of the fact that some of their colleagues even died. You see what I mean? It is the older women. Our society, I think we still need a lot of education in that area, because the older women should educate
The
Young.
not only the young, they
General public.
they need to educate the general public. And so they can help support the young girl, because a lot of things the girl cannot express by herself, but the older women perhaps can start expressing these things and saying, look, all of us go through this. There's no shame in it. Oh, there's a lady, I forget her name, she wrote a beautiful poem that in Africa, when a woman is facing shame, other women come around with their lassos. The poem was about kangas, you saw it, and they cover her. But our world is changing very fast. When a woman is going to give birth, for example, by the street, it's not carelessness. Sometimes it's poverty. It's not lack of preparedness. Sometimes it is situations that that woman may be going through that no one knows about. Women used to take out their kangas and cover the woman who is going to give birth. But these days, you find that it is women who are laughing. What has happened to us? Is there a degeneration of the minds that is happening? So, in my government, it will not be about politicking and all. We need to return to the African society, because Africans are supportive. Africans are generally communal. We need to get back to that space, because when we do that, then we can support one another. We can support the girl child who's transforming from childhood to womanhood and is facing challenges of identity. We can stand with the woman who is giving birth but was not prepared due to one reason or another, without judging one another. So we need a lot of civic education. We had straight talk. Straight talk was very helpful. But then our society doesn't want to talk about certain things. We want to pretend that things are not happening, especially when it comes to women. In our vernaculars, we say, "Ebyomunju tebitotolwa." When a woman is behaving badly, the husband goes around saying, "Omukazi taina magezi," and all that. You know, it's okay for the men to go around talking about their wife, what she can do, what she can't do, all the way down to the most detailed, intimate issues of a woman. But when it comes to a woman, when the man is doing things that are disgraceful,
it's unbecoming of a woman.
It is unbecoming of a woman to say what she's suffering. So you find women are suffering quietly.
Discussions concerning girl child might not end now. It might take a whole week or a whole month. Let me ask you, on behalf of our viewers, Madam Nancy, I always avoid the if, but when you are voted on 14th Jan, no doubt you do not have a political party to which you belong. You are an independent candidate. Meaning, out there, definitely also don't have specific parliamentary candidates. Therefore, amongst the 524 MPs in that house, people will be, parliamentarians are going to be, they will be belonging to different political parties. How would you intend in your government? Remember, you are alone, in my view, with your cabinet, as in presidency now, and then you have a parallel parliament that doesn't have any, in my view, as per what is on paper now. We haven't seen. so and so that so and so is one of my parliamentary candidates. How are we going to manage such a parliament?
First and foremost,
Maybe to add, because Jaja Mwami has been working with, in quotes, or using in the very house to have some of his things go through. So I don't know, are you going to use the Jaja Mwami style of a handshake, and how are we going to manage that parliament to run the country?
Okay, for starters, I've been talking about this over and over again. Let me start from the most basic explanation of what so that we give people a better understanding of what I intend to do. When we were in school, we had houses, red, yellow, blue, green, and other colors, maybe purple, depending on the school you were in. And in those colors, we competed in sports, in drama, and in different things, different activities. We competed on whose house was cleanest, who did the best housework, and all that. And all the children in the school belonged to those houses. When it comes to the teachers were also subdivided so that they could be patrons of the different houses, right? But the headmaster was neutral for a purpose, because the school needed to be run without taking sides. So when you look at democracy as it was from the beginning in Greece when it started, it has evolved over the years. Different countries have adopted different styles of democracy. And in that way, we ought to have adopted our own kind of democracy. There are a lot of countries, maybe in Europe or all over the world, that either have one language or one tribe or one people. You understand? Or maybe very few, for that matter. And there's less division within their communities, within their societies and countries and nations. In Uganda, for some reason, God decided to put 56 nationalities together. That's how we have the 56 tribes in Uganda. You've heard me talk about Mission 56, and our slogan is leaving no one behind. My mission is to the 56 tribes of this country, because you are Ugandan. Now let's get to the parliament, to the question you asked. First and foremost, I intend to build a multilateral platform where everyone, regardless of your tribe, religion, and political party, is welcome. Now, when it comes to the issue of parliament and how we will work together, I think we tend to forget that the people within these parties are human beings. We all have basic needs. We all want good health. We all want good education. We want our girl children not to feel segregated. We want the same, our innate needs as human beings are the same, politics aside. Now, come 2021, it will be a beautiful thing
For
to
Nancy
have...
Kalembe as president and have a majority, say, opposition.
Let me
FDC,
finish without your interruption. It will be a beautiful thing if a leader of this nation is non-partisan, allows the parties to run free in this country, because at the end it's good for the people of Uganda, without interruption. You see, we have seen so many governments come and go. Okay, for some of you, you've only seen one government coming and going in every election period. Yes. But there's been a lot of segregation, if you notice. There's a lot of segregation. People get jobs because of their tribe. People get jobs because of their political affiliation. And you see that there's a decline in merit. There's a decline in the level of service. Why? The leaders that we have right now are not considering people's merit. They're not considering their education, their talents, their abilities, their strengths. They're considering their political party to get a job. That is not the kind of government I want to run. People will get jobs because you have a certain talent. You're educated in a certain way. You have a certain strength. And that is how we will work. Now, when it comes to issues of parliament, look at how this government has run its business. We claim that Uganda is a multi-party system. Is it really? When FDC wants to build a road, will they actually let them? When UPC wants to build a school, will they let them? When NUP, for example, wants to, to rally the youth and do something, will they let them? Now, in my government, this will be the order of the day. Because if FDC is competing with UPC and FDC builds a road, NUP will build a hospital, UPC will build a certain school, and at the end of the day, the Ugandan people will benefit. But in the current government, what is multi-party system? I actually fail to understand what multi-party system is in this government, because when someone identifies an issue, competition is always healthy as long as it is not full of anger and hatred and strife and fighting and bloodshed. Competition is healthy. So I'm sure that a lot of parties, if you saw what happened, I think 2 days ago when I was coming from Ginger, we had a bereavement in the family. My grandmother passed away. Unfortunately, we've not yet buried up to now because the hospital has refused to release the body due to COVID tests and all that. I won't get into that so much. But while I was coming from Ginger to come back to Kampala to try and organize, we got stuck in traffic jam, and someone noticed that I was in the car. So they shouted, "Oh, Nancy's there." So these NUP people came around my car and asked, "Please come and greet us." I said, "But that is a NUP arrangement for me to step on your place, on your platform. It would be wrong." They said, no, we are voters. So please come, say hello to the voters while we wait for Namboze, because she's the one who's supposed to address us. When she comes, you can also say hello to her and move. And the fact that that
shows the oneness.
Exactly. The fact that I believe in leaving no one behind, Mission 56, what matters is that you're a Ugandan, not your political party or anything. I realized that they were not hostile, they were not disrespectful. So I took the offer, went up on the platform and greeted the people, talked to them in the language they understand. Because even in the Bible, John says that I am all things to all people. Why? Because one is a child of God. I am a child of God. I've always said it over and over again. So I don't discriminate. If I'm in a space and I'm welcomed, it doesn't matter. So now I'm on this platform talking to NUP people, and they are cheering me on. Some of them said, "You know what, because of what you have done, I will vote Namboze as my MP, but you're my president. I will vote for you." You understand that? So come 2021, I am going to be president of Uganda, and Namboze is member of parliament. She's in NUP. How do you think our relationship is going to be? It will be a good relationship, because clearly I'm not discriminating against anyone. Some people found it offensive that how could she? They're forgetting I'm an independent candidate, and I have said over and over again, I am the daughter of the Most High God. As long as you're a child of God, which I believe every Ugandan is, regardless of your political party, and you're willing to work with me, I will work with you. If no people are willing to vote their members of parliament, but vote me as president, I will work with the members of parliament. If NRM are willing to, because I have been approached by different parties, not just NUP, even NRM. I've been approached by FDC, I've been approached by ANT, and all these UPC, and they've told me clearly, you know what, I'm in NRM. I am tired, even me, of this government, but I don't mind working with you quietly. I'm in FDC. I don't think that our president is going this direction. I want to work with you, but I'm in FDC, so I'll work with you quietly. I said, no problem. Why? Because I embrace everyone.
Unifying factor.
I am going to be a unifying factor for Ugandans, not a divisive factor, as this government has been increasingly. If this government, that is why I'm asking Ugandans, please vote right this time. If this government comes back into power for the next 5 years, we are on the brink of a genocide if that happens. Why? They have divided this nation. A lot of people don't feel like they belong in this country. It's like the country belongs to a certain group of people who people are not sure whether they're Ugandans or not. I'm sorry to say that. But we also are divided with our religions. When did religion become a unifying factor? I thought it was just an avenue for seeking God. Personal relationship with God. So whether you're Muslim, Catholic, Anglican, SDA, Orthodox, it doesn't matter. That is your personal relationship. All that matters is what happens between you and God in your prayer closet. When we come together as people, we should work together. So that should not be an issue that when I'm a non-partisan president, I should be fighting against Parliament. No. On the contrary, having a non-partisan president, I will allow multi-party politics to actually take on its true embodiment, because then I will allow FDC to do their things.
A second, Your Excellency, to be the mere fact that you considered to come as an independent without a political party, how would you convince our viewers and the entire world that you will believe in the multi-party politics when yourself you considered coming as an independent? Doesn't that contradict?
Let me give you an example. Everyone knows that I'm a practicing Christian, right?
Yes.
But if you look closely, some of the people of my team are Muslim. I think God was preparing me, because I went to an Anglican school, I went to a Catholic school, I went to a Muslim school. And my family is in such a way that we are half Christians and half Muslims. And while I was growing up, we knew that during Ramadan, we cooked for the people who were fasting. And during our time of fasting and Easter, they also celebrated our feasts as we celebrated their feasts. Personally, I don't see the point of fighting because we are in different parties. I was a sportswoman, right from my childhood. So I belonged to one house and other people belonged to other houses. On the field, I was running for my house. But in the dormitory, we ate together. Who cared whether you were blue or red or green?
So politically, you're half multi-party, you're half
No.
independent?
I'm not half multi-party, I'm not half independent. I am a Ugandan. My mission is to the 56 tribes of this nation, regardless of your political inclination, regardless of your tribe, regardless of your religion. What my mission is to unify Uganda and build a meritocracy that will have global presence, because there is internal peace and prosperity. At the end of the day, when you are a doctor and you're going to save lives, who cares what political party you're in? Who cares what tribe you're in? Or who cares what religion you are? Are you saving lives? Are patients dying? No, they're being saved. For as long as you are, when we're built, you see, in Africa, we tend to copy and paste everything we pick up from everywhere else, you see. So when we pick democracy, we've failed to adjust it to suit us. We just like to wear clothes, whether they are so tight or too big. In my government, Ugandans will learn to appreciate who they are. We will get back our identity, regardless of your mind, your belief or political party affiliation. It doesn't matter. What matters is we are going to build a meritocracy in the center of Africa, so that the world will know that the pearl of Africa is shining again, because excellence reigns in that land. And that cannot be done when we are still divided. We have to work together. United we stand, divided we fall. Then why do we allow political parties to influence us? I always tell Ugandans, it doesn't matter what political party you're in or what sympathizer you are. When it comes to the ballot day, please vote character, not colors. Shout and chant NRM if you want. Shout and chant NUP, FDC, UPC, DP, whatever you want in public. But when it counts most, do not sell our country. Do not let our country go to the dogs. No. vote right, vote character, vote personalities. Because it is personalities and characters and minds that lead nations, not colors. If I'm a thief and I'm in NRM, you'll vote me in because you're in NRM, and then when there's embezzlement and corruption, you complain.
Madam Kalembe, now, in regards to the administration, no doubt by next year we shall have a parliament of 524. We have over 100 plus districts. Every district has an LOC5 chairperson, RDC, so many, deputy, cow, mention it. Our viewers out there believe that we are overburdened
Definitely.
by administrative costs. What's your policy?
It's
Bigger parliament, bigger administration, bigger cabinet. Do we see Nancy coming with a small and manageable administration?
Now going back to what we just discussed, because we are in a government that has decided to put its party before anything else,
So,
you will find that they are looking to create jobs for their people in their party. This expansion of districts and putting more parliamentarians is not for the good of Ugandans, because we already are into debt as a nation. And any administrator would understand that if there is a challenge, if you've run businesses before, you understand if a business is overstretched in burden, you reduce expenses so that you can manage. You start cutting costs and you remain with a skeletal structure.
how big
that
would you
can,
want your parliament to be?
Personally, I would like my parliament to be between 40 to 70, somewhere around there. Why?
Cabinet?
Because it would be effective. It would be effective when it comes to discussions and making decisions. It is faster when the people are fewer. And you see, with a big parliament, we've seen it even with the past parliament. If you see every successive parliament, quantities are increasing, yet quality is depreciating faster than rainfalls from the sky.
Your cabinet?
My cabinet will be much smaller. Why? Because you see now, how many ministers do we have? There are so many people, there are so many ministers who don't even actually have roles. Some of them are there because they supported NRM in this region. They supported NRM in this region. We have ministers who have insulted people in their faces. We have ministers who are slapping police officers. We have ministers who are really abusing their office. Why? Because they know they are not there on merit. They are there because of what they did for the ruling party.
At a rate of 10, how many female ministers would you have in your cabinet?
As I said earlier, we started off talking about the girl talk.
Yes.
And I happen to be female, the first female president of Uganda. When it comes to gender balance, we've seen that society thinks they are doing women a favor by giving them certain positions once
And
in
they
a
think that's
while.
what they deserve.
So they
Society
think that
thinks.
that is, oh, you know, now we have a female vice president, and that is such a big thing. Let me say to everybody who is listening
And watching.
and watching, women are not being done a favor by being given positions.
It's not a privilege.
It is not a privilege.
It's a right.
It is not even a right. When women get into office, they are single-minded. Women are loyal. They are hardworking and they are honest. When women get into office, they do what they do with everything in them. They don't do because of egos. They want people to see them. No. They don't do because they want to build personal legacies and so that someone can build a monument. When you want nations to move, you need leaders that are female. I'm not saying that I'm going to only employ female leaders. No. Because the world needs men too. Because men happen to carry the seed for the next generation. We are not going to push the girl child agenda at the expense of men, but there should be proper balance. If you notice that over the years, the primary school results, PLE, the secondary school results at S4 and S and A level, increasingly, without even much interference, the girls are actually performing better than the boys. Why? Because no one bothered to understand that if you level the ground for boys and girls, may the best person win. It's not about just affirmative action is still good in Uganda and in Africa for the girl because they're oppressed. But it's not a favor. I want people to know that in my government, it will be merit. If that merit ends up with 80% women or 60% women or 50% women, I'm not doing it because I am a woman and I'm giving women jobs. In fact, one of the things that we are trying to come up with, I have a few people who are very good with technology, is that public service will not have names when people are applying for jobs. We will no longer fill in name, tribe, age. Can you imagine? A nation that still asks you, what's your tribe? What is your age? What is your religion? Already they are telling you that we discriminate along tribe, age, religion. They are about to start giving us forms with what political party do you belong to? I think that is where we are going.
Let me give you a girl child with whom we have co-hosted this show. She could have some questions, so that I'm not seeming to be then patriarchal. And
I was actually about to start complaining.
See? There she is.
I have a lot of questions, but we're going into a short break. It is a healthy break, and then when we come back, I will have my questions. They might drive Jochaliko. Bera kote komao.
Yellow Beat.
It's a 4G remix.
Yellow Beat.
It's a 4G remix. Sin. Twice upon a time, I got my phone. I put him busy, and then I said, I have time with it. So I called my friend. Faska, did you know? Did you?
Yes, it's MTN at 00, the 4G remix. Dial star 150 star 10 hash or visit my MTN app to load daily bundles and double your MPs on your 4G line. Everywhere you go, MTN.
That means more fire. What is up? What's it that we need?
Everywhere you go, MTN.
You have got to get up pretty early to go do something. We are the alternative gitalk. With our mobile studios, we are redefining TV presentation just as technology is setting the pace. We are blending our approach with fresh, perspectively designed breakfast show, The Mighty Drive, informative and entertainment show, exclusive and live interviews.
President Museveni wadde juzi namulaba apima akawunga kilo 2 tasobola kalya nini bwaba alya kilo 5 oyannema okuliisa eggwanga ne bwe limundekera.
Njagala kwebaza the alternative digitalk etuwadde kano ka Mighty Drive era n'abatuwuliriza bonna abali ku mikutu njagala basaba mugende mu maaso n'okuwuliriza.
All given to you just a click away on your phone, tablet, laptop and smart TVs, as we are streaming live on our social media platforms, on the road and on the go. We are the Alternative Digtalk.
Okyali ku Dimite Drive ye program gye tukyagenda nayo maaso mpaka sawa 3 zo esaawa zidduka bukubirire ziri 2 ez'amakya g'olunaku lwaleero. Njagala okujjukiza gwe munaffe atanatweyungako ogenda ku Facebook yo teekamu The Alternative Uganda, like the page and follow us. Ogenda kubanga otufuna bulungi nga President wo Her Excellency Nancy Kalembe ng'omuwulira akuwa endowooza ze biki byagala okukolera Uganda na biki ebitagenze bulungi byonna nga abisosottola. So munnange kiri eri ggwe okujjamu ekikuyamba ate ekitakuyamba n'okisuula. Our guest, my question is, gye tugenda otandika nayo, it is according to research, over 16 women die every day giving birth because of the healthy sector that we have in Uganda. How do you plan or intend to improve the healthy sector such that the number of women that die during birth reduces?
Okay, I'm glad that you've asked this question because it's one of the things.
I am a girl child, I will be rotating around there.
It's a good thing. I get an opportunity to speak to my fellow girls, because we, as women, we are always referred to as girls. First and foremost, I've been talking about my flagship programs, and health being at the helm of everything. Why? Because it touches everyone. Yes. And I've been emphasizing that every human being, great and small, started in a womb.
Yes.
We ought to take care of the womb carriers, because if the womb carriers are unhealthy, what kind of population shall we have? When we were studying population science, we learned that when we are talking about the average age of people's lifespan is determined from the womb. When we look at countries that have longevity, it's because their maternal health is taken care of. Yeah. When I talk about maternal health, some people say, you're being segregative, you're forgetting about the men. No, I'm not forgetting about the men. I'm actually thinking about the men very much, because when we discuss maternal health, prenatal and postnatal, everything, right from the time a girl is 15 years and she's in the reproductive age group, what does she need to do? We have forgotten. When we were young girls, they used to give us tetanus shots when we were between 13 and 15.
Yeah, during school. These days, I'm not seeing that. It seems to have reduced. Those tetanus shots are not being given to the girls anymore. When we look at our hospitals, we have big hospitals with all kinds of facilities, but then you get to the women's ward and maybe it is just one section in the hospital. Most hospitals don't have enough beds for the kind of blessing that we have in this country. I call it a blessing because Ugandan women are generally very fertile. What is my government going to do? Number one, I've spoken about it over and over again, that we need to do something seriously about the welfare of the human resource that work in these hospitals, because it all starts there. If I have very good hospitals with all the equipment and all the medicine, but without human resource, that's not a hospital. It can just be a store for things. Exactly.
So we've been discussing over and over again, telling Ugandans, I am the right president for this nation come 2021. Why? Because I'm caring about your health. How am I caring about your health? I'm starting with the very foundation, the very fabric of our health sector. And those are the nurses, the doctors, the pharmacists, and all the human resource. Mu Luganda abakozi bonna abakola mu byobulamu. tulina bafaako bakola ku byobulamu bwaffe tulina okukola ku byobulamu bwabwe. So we don't talk about only increasing their salaries. We talk about compounds. My architects have come up with compounds, a concept called compounds for the different sectors. But for the medical professions, we have compounds where within those compounds, I got this idea when I was working in Nigeria. The oil sector had compounds. So you'd find big oil companies have compounds where their workers stay. In those compounds, there were schools, there were certain facilities, there were health facilities that took care of the families of the people who were working in these big, large oil companies. Now, when we decided to adopt that in my team, the architects went quickly and drew up plans for the compounds and what we would do. Now, we have a concept of compounds so that our medical professions, number one, can be at peace. They need peace of mind in order to do what they do. You've had some doctors going into operations that last 22 hours, 19 hours. They are on their feet. How can they take an operation for 19, 18 hours and yet at home there is no food? At home, rent issues, the landlord is throwing them out of the house. At home, maybe bills have not been paid. So this compound is going to take care first and foremost of their mindset, that they will be focused. They will have housing, they will have water and amenities, not just water, electricity, access to internet, so that they can constantly, we're in a very techie culture right now. They need to keep on educating themselves, not going all the way back to school to learn something. These days we have access to all kinds of information and research on our phones. So we need them to be in these compounds and their welfare is taken care of. Secondly, we need to emphasize how important maternal health is. Not because I am a woman, but because our nation's health depends on the health of the women in a nation. Because then women, when we talk about maternal health, we've seen women who breastfeed for 1 week and run back to work.
Yes.
Maternal health goes beyond the boundaries of the hospital. It goes into our home setting. It goes into our employment setting. Because if you tell nakawere yakazala yazadde ggulu akaana yakakubyewo jo week or they are going to lose their job.
Yes.
We need our policies to span beyond the hospital to the workplace. Not just the remuneration of the workers, but how are the hospitals taken care of all the way to home and to the workplace? That is a policy that when we think health policy, we tend to think about the confines of hospital.
Yes.
The pressure at work after giving birth affects. So when we are talking about maternal leave, we shouldn't have it as an employment policy. It should be tied to the needs of this womb, the womb carrier. I call them womb carriers because they carry life. They choose to either kill or keep. So if a woman has decided to keep, they are pro-life. They ought to be treated in a particular way. So when it comes to the health sector, we will talk about the welfare. I've gone into details of that because that is very important. Right now, it's not been emphasized enough. That is why I needed to emphasize it. Secondly, we will talk about the infrastructure of the hospitals. Some of the hospitals were people's houses. So you find that basic things are forgotten, like wheelchair ramps are forgotten. We want to engage real doctors and real medical professions to sit down with us and tell us, because now as we're preparing this, we've been engaging a lot of doctors and we found that there's so much that we overlook. We want to introduce the alternative medicine, officially launch it in my government. We will have the pharmaceutical medicine, but we will also encourage our organic medicine to go ahead. Why? Number one, it's more affordable. Number two, it has less effects, bad effects when you take it, because the pharmaceutical medicine has its challenges. Yes, it may be effective, but some of it has a lot of steroids and all that. So we need to push our organic medicine. Bajjajja baffe balyanga ki nga bali mbuto? Bajjajja baffe bwe balwala ng'olunkusensa abaana babakoleranga ki? We need to understand that before the white man ever stepped on this beautiful continent, we were not ignorant. We had knowledge that has been forgotten, that has been, we've forgotten who we are. I keep on saying we need our identity back as Africans, even in the medical profession. We see how India has handled the issues of cancer. I've unfortunately had cousins and relatives who have suffered cancer, and when they go to India, they're given options. They say, look here, this is the Western medicine, this is the Indian medicine. This has these advantages, this has these disadvantages and all that. We need a parallel medicine, if I may put it that way. And let's push it. Let's not only do research in laboratories of the Western medicine. Let's push research in our organic medicine, so that it is, the stigma around it. We were made to think that all medicine that is organic is witchcraft. No. When you study, they tell you that plant does this, blackjack does this, this does this. And then you find that during COVID, what medicine were we taking?
That actually begs my next question. Given the COVID-19 era that we are in,
exactly,
what should be done to ensure that coming 2021 elections are free, fair and secure?
One of the things that we've adopted as the globe right now is we're going more digital.
Yes.
My bank sent me a message 2 days ago, last week, that now there won't be any more physical writing of, the slips that we fill in. They want to move more online. And I believe embracing, when I talk about my leadership, will embrace future technologies. We will go more digital so that disease does not spread. Anywhere that we can prevent disease spreading very fast, we will do that. Secondly, as a nation, we need to love our children. I always say that I am a mother, and when I look at the human beings that walk in this country, in the boundaries of this country, I see children of Uganda. I don't see age, I don't see sex, I don't see tribe, I don't see religion, I don't see political party. I see children of this motherland. And when you see children as a mother, your first instinct is protectiveness. Women are very protective. However small that chicken is, if a chicken sees you coming anywhere near its chicks, it becomes a wild animal at that point. As the next president of Uganda, I assure Ugandans, wherever you are, that the children of Uganda will be protected. The children of Uganda will come first. We will be taking care of the children of Uganda regardless. I always give an example of what happened when Africa had Ebola. European countries cut us out completely. They stopped flights coming from Africa. They did everything to protect their people. And, people get upset with that. But I tell them, those leaders are thinking about their people first. In Africa, we take everything. COVID-19 was an Asian problem, an European problem, just like Ebola was an African problem. African leaders would have come together and agreed to close the borders of Africa so that the children of this motherland could be protected. They didn't do that. The Chinese have a proverb that says, the best time to plant a tree was 50 years ago. The next best time to plant a tree is now. Our government failed us. They didn't think about us. They sat down and thought about their businesses and their economy. They did not think about our economy and our businesses. I believe that this lockdown of our borders, if African countries had refused to lock their borders, Uganda could have. And this was supposed to be a great opportunity for Ugandan manufacturers to explode, because then Ugandans wouldn't be importing things from elsewhere. Ugandans wouldn't be suffering lockdown and all the mental challenges that came with the lockdown. If we had closed our borders, Ugandan children would still be going to school. Ugandan health workers would not be put at risk, because as a mother, that is how I think. I think protection of my children. As the president of this country, I will be thinking protection of the children of Uganda. The government failed. I am taking on a country where the government in power has failed. Now, what are we going to do going forward? Number one, we have to ensure that our health sector budget is increased. We are still at 1.9% or around about 2% of our national budget. And yet, so much is going to security of our budget. Why? I always ask. An army is supposed to protect the sovereignty of a nation. In this case, our army is protecting the sovereignty of this government to protect its space in leadership against the people of Uganda, not the sovereignty of the people of Uganda against external forces. And that is probably one of the reasons why security has been emphasized beyond even our health sector. You understand?
Yes.
So as Commander-in-Chief, I will work together with the security forces, yes, to protect the sovereignty of our land against external forces. But before that, we need to protect the human security, which starts with the white blood cells, our bodies. How do we protect ourselves? By making sure that our health sector is booming.
Her Excellency Nancy Linda Kalembe, abantu bebusoga idinda iganga bujiri banange tulina tubalamwisa mwesulira yo gwanagamba ebintu bino banange mweyunire kumugendo nga kalikwiriza my co-host Akazinda. My last question would be, Busoga is part of the eastern region, and it is ranked to be the poorest,
second poorest.
What could be causing that, and how do you intend to improve or solve the problem of Busoga?
You want me started on that when the show is ending? I wish.
It's a special, it should be a special dedication from one of theirs. So
now, I've said this over and over again. This country is divided into 4 parts: the north, the central, the east, and the west. And I will say it again, as a mother, I will take care of all the children together.
No more children, no children that are more important than others.
No animals are more important than others, no children are more important than others. All the children are going to be taken care of well. I have said this before, I will say it again. Uganda is a very blessed country with people, diverse people that have different giftings. But this current government has intentionally and systematically ensured that certain places are kept in poverty. Why? You went to school with, they say the north is the poorest, right?
Yes.
And yet wisdom brings wealth. You went to school with northerners. Tell me something. Didn't they give us a hard time in school? They are very intelligent. They are brilliant people. Why are they the poorest? Because there's been an intentional, systematic way to keep them poor so that they can be controlled. Recently, before I go into that, and then the east. We studied in school.
Don't forget the west.
Hold on. I am getting everywhere. I'm talking about the poorest because the question was about poverty. So I'm talking about poverty. The west is well taken care of. The central is definitely well taken care of. It's only 2 regions that have been literally forgotten. The north has been deserted completely. apart from it being a project for finding ways to get money, corrupt money, because they say this NGO is going to the north. Does it actually help? Do these NGOs actually help the north, or are they helping facilitate those in government get richer and richer while they are pretending to be taking aid to the north, while it is getting more and more impoverished? Moving to the east, we studied in school, which is the cleanest city in the country, Mbale, which is the industrial city or the industrial town of Uganda, Jinja. Where is the poorest group of people and the second poorest in eastern region? Why? Yet the factories are there. That means if the east is the industrial part of this nation, number one, poverty should not even be in the dictionary of the east. Why? Where there are factories, there should be jobs. Where there should be jobs, there should be infrastructure sprouting up like mushrooms. Where there is infrastructure, there should be a certain level of income, because when we have factories, the factory workers have children that need to go to school, so there should be good schools and the education sector should be booming. Where there is good, where there are factory workers, there should be good hospitals to take care. So you see, the factories are supposed to feed and this region is supposed to grow. But guess what happened? The reason why Jinja was the industrial town of this country was because the power is generated in Jinja. Anybody who studied physics knows that the cost of production becomes lower. There was a deliberate move by this government, and I will say it again, it was deliberate, to impoverish the people of the East by taking away factories and causing them to migrate to another place. What is in Namamve that needed to move, that required for the government to move the factories there? What is in Mbarara that required the government to move the factories to Mbarara? If it was bringing goods closer, they could have done the railway much faster, so that goods coming from the industrial part of the town of Uganda go quickly to the western part, and that way the dairy area of this country would also send dairy products all over the country very easily. They should have moved railway lines, roads, and boom the transport sector, so that the goods that are manufactured within the country are moved. Then, besides that, besides moving the factories, what am I saying? We shall decrease the cost of production of manufacturers in this country by moving the factories closer back to where they are supposed to be. Number one. So the jobs will be going back to Jinja. They will not be lost anymore. Number two, you've heard about the sugarcane saga in Busoga. Yes. That people are growing sugar, they don't even have land left to grow food. The government made promises to these people and said grow sugar canes. These people got loans that they secured with their property. You've heard of land grabbing that is happening in Busoga right now? Yes. It's like an orchestrated, I'm sorry to say, this government has orchestrated a lot of things, but that we didn't see all this time. Ugandans, as I said before, we're Mission 56 and we are leaving no one behind. Ugandans need to own their land again, so that land grabbing will not take place. The people of sugarcane who have lost a lot of money and lost their property and lost a lot of income will gain back. Why? For the sugarcane planters, wherever they are. Government, in economics, we have buffers. I won't go into the technicalities. When supply is too much and demand is low, prices fall. If demand is high and supply is low, prices go up. But in this case, the supply of sugar canes is too high, and the sugar factories that are taking the sugar canes are very few, so the prices of the sugar cane has dropped, but the interest rates in the banks and in the financial institutions are not dropping along with the dropping in prices. So the poverty in Busoga is increasing because even someone who had some money before has taken a loan, is paying very exorbitant interest rates to, by the way, most of these financial institutions are not even Ugandan owned. You understand? Yes. So it's like we're taking all our wealth outside to foreigners and impoverishing our people because these foreigners are buttering the bread of those in government, hence forgetting us. So government ought to have seen this challenge coming and put buffers to protect. There should have been price control systems in place so that the sugarcane growers don't lose out. Government should have been able to, but these are the things I'm discussing right now. My government will put in place buffers to protect the farmers from losing money. You remember some time back the price of maize dropped so drastically that it was useless to grow maize.
True.
My government will protect the farmer against such things because I'm a farmer, by the way. My government will bring jobs back. I've been talking about community businesses. Now, community businesses will increase the demand for raw material in every community because every community will have a micro factory, a micro manufacturing plant that will require the raw materials that are being grown or reared in case of animals in that locality. So we will be bringing jobs back, not just by taking the big factories back, but by encouraging and supporting the small scale businesses to grow by giving incentives. We shall give incentives of tax holidays to small Ugandan manufacturers. We'll be talking about interest rates. How do they access financing when it comes to capital? How do they? How is this finance organized? Are they partial grants? Are they full grants? Or is the interest rate so low? We've had the Chinese government is giving zero interest to their nationals who are going to invest elsewhere. So we've opened up our country to foreigners who are having zero interest rates on the money, on the capital they're getting, and opening them up to come and compete on unlevel ground with local investors who have to pay taxes from day one. Look at taxi owners and border owners. I'm talking about the smallest businesses.
Yes.
And the market vendors. You've seen what has happened to the markets. Government is taking over the markets, increasing the amount of money that the female vendors have to pay. Yet these women, you will find that many of them, you've heard of the Single Mothers Association. Some of them are single mothers. And yet government has not thought through these things. They are increasing taxes on the market vendors. They are increasing taxes on the taxi owners. They are increasing taxes on the border owners. It was their fault that they allowed COVID in, but it is Ugandans who are paying the price. That not only are the taxi owners suffering and the people in the transport business suffering and every other sector. Guess what is happening? The person who has to pay high taxi fare is also suffering. So it doesn't make sense. And these are the things that my government is going to be considerate of. Why? Because I'm a mother that Ugandans are going to allow to take care of them in this great nation so that the children of this country will be holistically protected.
Wow. I want to take you through a few comments here before we close with either two also questions locally, and then we go to international policies, and then we call it a day. Magara Brian from Masindi says, I don't know whether you have any comment, says President should remember someone who stole our bank was a woman. Could it be what was her name? I don't know, of course, and others. That's Magara Brian in Masindi. There is Kalulde Esther Luana, we need a woman president in Uganda. The same person appreciates by the symbol she posted here. Taylor Nicholas from Isingiro, great woman. Rashid watching right from Jinja, and my only question to our president is what's her plan to the increasing poverty in Busoga? That has been answered. Rashid Smile. Christine Naliku, that's our girl, proud of you. So she says. Chisache Mariam, thanks Mama. As ladies, protecting our children is our priorities. There you're right. I give you credit. Madam President, we are with you. That's Lydia Mokisa Kakaide. I know these names. I know that name crosses the bridge. Okay. Ali Kakembo. It's a nice and stable stream. Oh dear. Thank you. Now, Madam President, we have issues as a nation in regards to taxes.
Many.
It is so, for lack of another word, I remember one US's president said it is that America is economically stupid. So probably Uganda is also economically stupid because of the tax policies that we have. A student hustles, their parents sell land, graduates today, spends 10 years looking for a job. The day this person gets a job, pay as you earn is already there waiting for you the very day. You start businesses. So many of our members in a group and some other places, one opens a smaller salon. You did not even bother knowing how he hustled to get the money for the salon.
Tax
the following morning, KCCA is on their door with very big padlocks. What is your policy in regards to taxes that are killing us alive? We are ranked the most entrepreneurial, one of the most entrepreneurial countries,
and
but
one
also
of the most failing
very
businesses
good.
in
There
the world.
is no businesses amongst my friends. You begin today, tomorrow you buy some shoes from his shop. Tomorrow, after like a month or two, it's like rent your name and around mucharo. What do you have for such people
Now,
and for such a policy?
As we always say, I like to start from way back. When you look at history, what used to happen when a foreign kingdom took over another kingdom, one of the first things they would do is to impoverish the people of that kingdom. How? Number one, they levied very heavy taxes on them because that was the fastest way of getting money out of people. Secondly, they attacked their crop so that they would go hungry. You understand? When we look at Uganda right now, for lack of a better expression, it feels like we have been overtaken by a foreign kingdom. Because the tax regime here, I have worked in West Africa. When I was in Nigeria, our pay as you earn was quite small. We were paying 10%. Number one. Number two, your allowances were not taxed. Like your transport, your housing allowance, your lunch allowance, they were not taxed. Those were yours. And you can see how Nigeria looks or other countries that take care of their people. In Uganda, pay as you earn is over 30%. That is ridiculous. So for if I get 1 million shillings as salary,
300 is already
over 300,000
taken by the tax
is
collector.
gone. Direct before I even see it.
NSSF and the rest
So
of
I'm earning 700,000. Then a government that takes care of us decides NSSF is gone. It is for your benefit. We agree. Then when we have challenges like COVID and people have lost jobs, they failed to allow people to access it.
Local service tax.
We asked, is it possible, instead of borrowing expensive money from the foreign banks that they've allowed to overtake our economy, why can't I borrow
from your own
my NSSF money and then pay back at whatever interest we agree on? Why? Because that interest is actually going back to me, to future me. So if I have money that is in NSSF and I am borrowing it, even if you told me I'm paying back at the same rate as a bank, because the money is ultimately going to be mine.
You're your own surety. You're not asked by so many. I mean, you're not asked questions.
It is my own money. It is my own interest that I'm building. It would actually make sense other than giving money to the foreign banks that are in our country. Now, when we consider the tax system has to be overhauled. We need to increase the tax base. The government has been talking about increasing the tax base, but what they're actually meaning is we need to increase the taxes on the few individuals who are already paying taxes. The real meaning of increasing the tax base is to reduce taxes on individuals, but spread it out so thin that more people are paying taxes. Now, how do more people get to pay taxes? It means we have to allow more Ugandans to have businesses. We have had people say in Uganda that bw'ogaggawala mu kakatono nga toli wa mu NRM oba nga toli mu kintu bakunoonya paka ne bakussa. You see things like this. So if only a few people are supposed to be wealthy in this country, how will the tax base increase? When I have discussed the 4 tools of economic empowerment that we are going to bring as a government, number 1, the community businesses that I've discussed. I encourage the listeners and the viewers to go back and just Google and watch some of the videos that I've posted on YouTube so that they can see these tools in details because of time.
Yeah, sure.
So I'll just mention them. 1, we talked about the community businesses. We've talked about the incubation centers. We've talked about the innovation centers, and we've talked about the talent development centers. Each one of these tools empowers Ugandans to be gainfully employed. Now, when more Ugandans are gainfully employed, it will make sense to actually reduce the taxes. My government actually intends to lower the taxes to 10%. My government, this is what I'm promising Ugandans, that on top of lowering taxes to 10%, the pay as you earn to 10%, our allowances will not be taxed. Because if I tax your transport to work, does that mean I'm telling you walk half the way? When I tax your housing allowance, does that mean I'm saying sleep in your house from first week to third week, in the fourth week where you? Is that what I'm saying? So the tax plan of Uganda needs to be overhauled completely so that it encourages and makes the Ugandan feel like it is a responsibility to pay taxes, but not a burden.
Okay, Christine Naliku, very intelligent analysis to you.
Thank you very much.
And Muchibi, watching from Muyenga, some comment, trying to look for it. Mayuge? There is some, okay, I'll get back to some of these comments. There is one inboxing me in regards to, you saw the old gentleman in northern Uganda who was hustling with his pension. It was a big, yeah. So this one seems to be a veteran with UPDF. Asks, what's your plan when it comes to the pensions?
The pension schemes in this country has actually not been a pension scheme. If you analyze, if you've gotten to interact with some of these elderly people who are supposed to pay to get their pensions, the pension scheme in this country, if you analyze very closely, it is a scheme to make certain individuals wealthier because they are ghost pensioners. And the actual pensioners have to walk back and forth being tossed around for their money, which means they walk and walk, and at that age they give up and decide to live in poverty. What my government will do, as we said that we are going to embrace future technology and future knowledge, we are going to prioritize pensioners getting their pension from where they are without having to move. We're going to be able to put in place a system, especially in public service, a system that automatically switches you from active servant to a pensioner. And your money should be closer to you. We have now banking agents, we have mobile money. These systems should be embraced. Imagine your jaja in the village being able to access their money from the village without having to, from a nearby kiosk. If they don't have a phone or they don't know how to use it, a nearby kiosk, the duka in the village, can be able to give them their access ng'atumawo omwana nti munnange edduka leero omwezi oba owe ku dduuka n'ategeera nti
In the remaining 8 minutes, Your Excellency, what is the minimum amount of salaries would you offer in your government to public servants? Because we have had a disturbing question about the minimum wage.
Yes.
Killing people. I know you know on your road, and to be specific, where you get it in Barala, there, women, young girls work for 2,000 per day. I mean, per day. What is your minimum wage?
You've asked two questions in one.
Both in public service.
Is it public service
both
and private
public
sector?
service and also private sector.
Okay, first and foremost, when we look at the way our economy has been moving, our economy has not been moving well. That is why the issue of minimum wage has not been emphasized. When you think on average, how much are houses rent costing? How much is food in the markets? And we look at all the basic requirements. We look at water, electricity, housing, food, not in any particular order. A human being should be able to have enough as wherever you are, so that you don't get into poverty of I don't have completely. I've always thought that the minimum wage in our current situation in this country should be a minimum between 500,000 and 1 million shillings. Why? Because this caters for the basic needs of a person. Because waliwo amayumba g'emitwalo 10, amasanyalaze oyinza okusasula omutwalo, amazzi n'osasula omutwalo. Kati olaba ng'osobola okugyawo awo, emmere ng'osobola okuyawuzaamu emmere yo. Now, if the minimum wage is between 500 and 1 million, as my government will emphasize, what are the taxes going to be like? Awochovatu twogedde ku misolo. If the taxes are reduced from pay as you earn, that is this high, to pay as you earn, that is about 10%. Ekitegeeza ne bwe mba nina emitwalo 5 mba mpitawo. Emisolo gino, all these taxes that have been introduced to enrich a certain section of Ugandans will be removed. For example, what is the use of OTT? Does it actually benefit anyone?
Yeah,
we know that sometimes
the benefits the tax collector.
Oh, no. We're not talking about the section of people who have decided that Uganda is theirs, and therefore they have to tax every other Ugandan to have a right. It's like we are paying taxes to be allowed to live in this country. Yeah. That's why some of these taxes are involved. When a young girl is stuck somewhere and they need help at a late hour and they don't have airtime, but they had access to free Wi-Fi, the way our neighboring country, Rwanda, is. Do you know that they can save their lives by sending a WhatsApp message quickly?
Your Excellency, I want to spend strictly like 3 or so minutes locally, and then we travel abroad. About age limit. Do you believe in age limits coming back?
Yes.
Great.
Because I believe that there is an age within which people are productive.
So we see Nancy with your government.
We shall restore age limit when it comes to leadership.
Term limits.
We shall restore term limits.
On that very one, as a girl child, I know you have someone you look up to, one of those most powerful people in Busoga, and we all know who she is, the one and only, like Basoga called her Mama, Rebecca Alitwala Kadaga. Affirmative action. Her and others. Yes, her and others. I repeat, viewers, her and others, in people's views, have overstayed in parliament, hiding as female representative. For that case, life members of parliament representing women. What's your take? Affirmative action.
Number one, you've asked, I'm not sure whether you've asked a question.
Yeah, okay, this is it.
You've insinuated certain things.
This is it.
Because he has asked me, who is the person you look up to? Then he narrowed it to women. Then he narrowed it to Busoga.
Let me repeat it
well.
Then
he decided to give me an answer.
Let me repeat it. Let me repeat it well. I am about affirmative action.
Yes.
And I was giving Right Honorable Kadaga as an example
so
of some. Wait a second.
Let's remove all the other things
I'm mentioning them. we have had many, be it even Nabila here as a woman representative of Kampala, 15 years down the road, because the purpose for which affirmative action was brought on board was to enable a girl child come, most likely serve and elevate to another level and give some space to some other upcoming young girls, in my view. That's why a youth MOP, for example, definitely will serve 5 years and go away, and most likely the age does not even allow him cross beyond that,
Let me say something.
that age. So what happens with
You've mixed so many things in this question that I don't understand. So let me also choose
what to answer
I
and what
pick
to
out.
drop? Yes.
Number one, when you ask me who is the person I look up to, that's a very different question. I shall not go into that. When you're talking about affirmative action and its use, in my opinion, affirmative action should be used to showcase the abilities of girls and women, not used to give an opportunity to girls. Because when you say that, it's as if women are unable, women are not capable, but they are doing them a favor through affirmative action.
That's why they have an extra 1.5 points at A level. They assume that they need some.
It is wrong to think that affirmative action is there to help the girl child.
The marginalized in particular.
No, the marginalized in every group, because there's affirmative action for regions, for women. In this case, because we're talking for people with disabilities, in this case we are talking about affirmative action for women. Whatever the affirmative action, okay, let's broaden it. Whatever the affirmative action and to which group of people, it is not there to make people feel like they are doing them a favor. Affirmative action actually gives an opportunity for closed-minded people to open up and realize the potential that they have been ignoring. No, not that they have. The women already know their potential. The disabled people already know their potential. The minority groups already know their potential. Affirmative action is, I believe, affirmative action is a tool used to help closed-minded human beings to see what they have been blinded to see the opportunities and the greatness that is embodied in the individuals that have been marginalized. That's first and foremost. Now, you talked about women remaining in parliament for so long. I like balanced questions, just like the question of there are a lot of women who have come running for presidency and they have failed. I always correct people. There are so many men and women who have run for presidency and have failed. Why? Because there's only been one president who has been winning in that section. When it comes to parliament, there are so many men and women alike who have remained in parliament for long. While the woman is trying to stabilize, society pounces on the women who are overstaying in parliament. When you're asking, or when people are talking about people who are staying in parliament, let's talk about the people who are overstaying in parliament, in power generally, starting from the head. We have a president who has been in power, it's coming to 35 years. We have parliamentarians, men and women, who have been in parliament for a very long time. It has nothing to do with women who have overstayed in parliament. You're mixing two issues. Affirmative action and staying in parliament are two different things. So please leave the women who are overstaying in power.
And also consider
no. Let's talk about the people who are overstaying in power, not the women who are overstaying in power.
Great. Do you think we need an MOP to represent the elderly in parliament, in your view? And then we cross for a question or two abroad, foreign points.
Now, first and foremost,
the parliament of aged people as they are, most of them, and cabinet.
I mentioned earlier in person that I studied a Bachelor of Science in Population Studies and I majored in actuarial science. When you're talking about populations, you're talking about an entire population. If the youth can be represented, why shouldn't the elderly be represented? Because all these, if she cannot represent men's men's interests. She cannot represent my grandmother's interests because she doesn't know the challenges my grandmother is going through right now. So we should have, when we are talking about representation in parliament, we should have representation in parliament across the population strata, not across political strata.
Okay. The really final means we have foreign policy.
Yes.
In the region, we are ranked, by the way, to be one of those best warmongers, and I know you know. We have been in Congo, we have been in Central African Republic, we have been in Chad, we have been in Somalia, we have been in Rwanda, we have been almost everywhere. In fact, in 1970s, we were in Kagera, battling issues with Tanzania. How do you intend to have our country be at peace and in harmony with the neighbors? Because I know you know, we haven't been good friends with our closest neighbors here in Rwanda. And we all know what it brought. What do we have? What do we see? Kalembe Nancy as president, effective next year. Solo, that title we have as warmongers, because most likely because we are led by a bushman or an army man, serving general or something. What's here? This civilian president that we have. Warmongering.
First and foremost, you have to understand that army men are trained for war, right? When an army man is running a nation, his first instinct is war. When there is challenges, in Uganda bagamba ogendo gwedalungo ina amaanyi. Now, when Ugandans have constantly had army men, military men as leaders of our country, as Ugandans are crying for change and the winds of change are blowing, I've been telling Ugandans, and I'll say it again, I am the embodiment of the change that Uganda needs right now. When you talk about warmongering, if we have a civilian president, when we have a civilian president, a female president, two things happen. Number one, I will not be looking for what fight so that I can feel comfortable that Lero Nwanyeko. Number one, because I'm a civilian leader. Number two, as a civilian leader, when there is conflict, our first instinct is negotiations, not war. You understand? Now, as a female president of this nation come 2021, my first instinct is to be protecting the children of Uganda. Warmongering is not going to be at my forefront. Why? Because war means bloodshed. Whose blood is being spilled? The children of Uganda. Whether you're in uniform or not. The men in uniform, when you take away their uniform and you dress them up in normal clothes, you'll sit next to them and you won't know that they're army men. They're actually a woman's child. They are someone's baby. In as much as they are big, strong, and they look fierce in their uniform, there is a woman on this earth who calls them baby. So we have to take care that when we are warmongering in different places, it is someone's child, someone's baby that you're sending to war. And if the war is unnecessary, why then are you risking a Ugandan life, a Ugandan child to die? We have so many problems that we have to pay attention to back home, that we have ignored we have paid attention to fighting other people's wars at the expense of internal arrangements. We are fighting with our neighbors currently. Could it have been that we could have negotiated? As women, we know how to negotiate. You know that when you have a problem and you need your father to understand, you go to the mother and say, would you please negotiate for me? Two countries at some point were at the verge of war. We don't need that right now. If Uganda had a woman president in this period, do you know that right now that Uganda relations would have already normalized?
Okay,
because there wouldn't be egos fighting against each other. It would be negotiations. What can we do for regional peace? So that our children can come and study in your country, your men can come and do business in my country. My women can come and do, there has to be a negotiation, that there are certain negotiations at this point that we're in that require a female commander-in-chief.
Okay. I think from me, final two. Do you think as a country Uganda is ready for an integration, and for that case having one president for the East African community? Because given the facts on ground that Kenya has its constitution so different from Ugandan constitution, it was beginning with the term limits and lots of things, and also the economy.
Uganda is not ready to merge the East African countries. Why? Because we have not yet harmonized our administrative policies. How the Bible says that how can two walk together unless they agree? Unity in the East African community would make this region very powerful. And indeed, I am for it. But until we harmonize, Kenya has term limits. Uganda decided to remove them for the sake of one individual and one party, not for the good of Ugandans. We removed age limits for the good of an individual and a party, and not for the good of Ugandans. Our trade policies are not yet aligned. Our infrastructure is not yet aligned. Some countries in East Africa look like they're in a different world, while we are still struggling with the basics. Our leadership has been so myopic in thinking that we are going to grow an economy, yet the individuals, the building blocks of the economy, the productive people, the youth, have been forgotten and relegated to the back. So, when we talk about East African integration, it is a very good discussion. And while we start discussing it more seriously, not just talk is cheap. We need to act. Even the Bible says faith without action is dead. When we talk regional integration without actions towards it, we need to sit down. We have an East African parliament. What are they discussing? We should talk about unified policies, unified laws, unified trade agreements that are balanced.
We have 2 minutes to close. I want to ask you, I know you know that we have 9,200,000 there plus female voters. Your last remarks to them, and for the men later on. Yeah.
My fellow women, bachala bannange, bakazi bannange, I am still learning more languages. Wherever you are, Uganda has an opportunity to have a mother at the helm of leadership. Let us stand together. I am counting on 9 million votes and more to push me, to give me that much needed push to get into the presidency of this nation. Let not my hopes be in vain, because as I become president of this nation and commander-in-chief of this nation, you and I will be happier women, because our children will be first priority when it comes to health, when it comes to education, when it comes to jobs and employment. Our children will come first. Women of Uganda, give me that much needed push. And it's not only your vote that I need. Talk to your husbands and your sons too, that they may vote for me. Because as a mother, I have their interests at heart. I have our husbands' interests at heart. I have our sons' interests at heart. Ugandans, vote for me. Together, let's make history and change this nation. We have the next 5 years to prove that it has been a waste of time for female leaders to be relegated to the kitchen. It is time to show the world what African women are made of. We are not only strong and warriors in every aspect, but we are strong in the face of challenges that are unbearable to most. Therefore, stand with me. Support me with your vote come 14th January. Support me with your finances, and let's push. You know how expensive campaigns are. Please support me with your finances. Support me with your encouraging words. But also, most importantly, support me with your prayers and your advice. Thank you very much. No leader leads alone. I need you to walk with me. Please vote for me and I will serve you. May God bless you for God and my country.
Wow, thanks for all the viewers out there in Uganda and abroad. It's been a very wonderful moment to have the one and only Nancy Kalembe Linda, the only presidential candidate who is female. On the crew, I had Faida Bikobere as my co-host. Abasoga lero tubadde sure you are fully represented. I had Faida Bikobere, Arnold Mokose from Mayuge. I had Katoto Musime from Ntungamo, Jeremiah Muchibi, yet another way wenyini wavo lumakugamba weru atubuzabuza. We shall find out. We have Tenjo Teddy Nabukeda. We had Elizabeth Musitwa. N'abalala tiimu nnene tweyanyiza bannaffe abadde batulaba tujja kumukomyawo by the way nga tetunnalonda otubuulire katambula katyawo mu January nga temunnalonda otubuulire ground eyengedde efotooka ground eri etya so we shall bring her back definitely and keep watching, keep following the alternative social media platforms, the Alternative Uganda, and we like you guys for your time and support. May God bless one, bless all, for God and my country.
You have got to get up pretty early to go do something. We are the Alternative Digitalk. With our mobile studios, we are redefining TV presentation just as technology is setting the pace. We are blending our approach with fresh, perspectively designed breakfast show, The Mighty Drive, informative and entertainment show, exclusive and live interviews.
We President Museveni wadde juzi namulaba apima akawunga kilo 2 tasobola kalya nini bwaba alya kilo 5 oyannema okuliisa eggwanga ne bwe limundekera.
Njagala kwebaza the Alternative Digitalk etuwadde kano ka Mighty Drive era n'abatuwuliriza bonna abali ku mikutu njagala basaba mugendo maaso n'okuwuliriza.
All given to you just a click away on your phone, tablet, laptop and smart TVs as we are streaming live on our social media platforms, on the road and on the go. We are the Alternative Digitalk.